Terra Dominus is an online, turn-based, multiplayer strategy game where each player starts with a single piece of land and a small population. I've released an early version online for testing and feedback, which is free to play, and it's buggy, it's clunky, and I need your help for testing and feedback. To report any bugs or make requests, just comment on this video or find me on twitter/x.com. I found some real game-breaking bugs that appeared only after it went live online, and there's probably a lot more that I didn't catch. So how does it work? Between 4 and 256 players can join a single map. While most games are designed to keep you grinding away and playing for as long as possible, Terra Dominus is not designed to steal your time. You could spend about 10 minutes just logging in to look at the map and then take the next 24 hours to make your decision. Aside from choosing to spend time negotiating, for example, making deals or arguing with other players, there are very few decisions to make. However, each decision will be consequential. There's no busy work or pointless tasks. I think even optimistically at most it's going to be a very niche game. There might not be many people who are interested in it, but this is exactly the kind of game that I've always wanted personally, and it's never existed, so I'm trying to make the bloody thing myself. Most of the work has been done on a laptop on the train while I'm going to work. While the mechanics are very simple, the intention is that complex behaviour will emerge as players interact with each other and develop different strategies. You technically should be able to trade and build relationships, conglomerate in the larger kingdoms, conquer weak lands to absorb them, send some of your population into other lands to colonize and take their resources. You can build walls for defense, destroy their forests to limit their growth potential, or maybe delegate the task of taxation to one of your subjects. You could even end up with your population pushed out and exiled from your original homeland. This is the sort of thing that should be able to happen theoretically anyway. You've got some land, you've got some people and resources, and everything else is up to the players. I know that this channel's mostly been about DayZ content, but I actually think there's a link here in that players are dropped into this world and everything else that happens after that point is up to them. But the fact is, at the end of the day, multiple players need to be interacting with each other for these things to emerge, and there isn't much to do on your own as a single player. To get started, just go to the register page and choose a username. You will be provided a password, and you have to save this password somewhere because it will never be provided to you again, and it can't be reset. If you lose your password, your account cannot be retrieved. It's all encrypted. I can't see it. I can't see your password or provide you another one. No personal information is stored on the site. You will not receive notifications. I don't even want to know your email. You don't need to sign up to anything. What would assist the most is if you could find a group of people who all join the game at the same time and get into the same map in a relatively short stretch of time, because I actually have no idea how many simultaneous players it can support. How do we actually play the game itself? To create your own game, enter a name and description for the game, then choose the maximum time allowed per turn. This is measured in hours, so in a 48, for example, if you want the end to turn after a maximum of 2 days, and you can make it anything from 6 minutes to a month or longer if you like. The map size is the width and height of the map, which is also the maximum number of players. So 2 would mean 4 lands total are created, meaning 4 potential players. 5 would mean 25 lands are created, and it goes all the way up to 256 possible players for one map. If I find that it can handle these larger numbers okay, we might even go up to 1024 or something like that. When the new game is created, you'll have to join it yourself and pick a land. The only information you're given when choosing the land is the position on the map and the amount of water available to the land each turn, and this affects tree and food growth. There are other non-renewable resources such as copper, tin and gold, but there's no way to know how much of these resources are in your land until you actually do some prospecting and test what your results are. The game can start with 1 player no matter how large the map is. Turns end when either all players have decided to end their turn or when the time limit runs out, whichever comes first. You'll start with a single farming unit. You have to ensure that a large percentage, if not most of your population, are working in agriculture. Otherwise there won't be enough food. This is all loosely based on the Bronze Age, where a fairly significant number of people had to work in farming to support the population in cities. Selecting auto food distribution takes all food from the units and redistributes them to all the other units according to their needs, and then it stores the excess in the land itself. So you can consider your land not just the physical place that you own, but as a kind of bureaucratic centre for your people. Food production depends on rainfall, the cleared land available, the population of the farmers and their upgrades. Population grows at an exponential rate and food production is linear, which means that a Malthusian catastrophe can happen. This is a graph of population and food resources on a single map with a single player, where I haven't really touched anything aside from setting up a couple of units to do their thing, and this demonstrates that although the game seems simple, there's a more complex ecological model going on in the background. Any unit or land you own can hold resources, and these resources can be transferred to any other unit within the same land or to the land itself. So you can transfer out of your own units, but you can't take anything away from units or lands owned by other players, unless it's a dead unit or you have conquered the land. So trade will require both sides to transfer to each other, and this is the only thing that actually doesn't rely on the turn-based process. You can make as many transfers as you like each turn. Otherwise, all other decisions will end up on your decisions page, and they can be cancelled or deleted, but they're only processed at the end of the turn. To clear trees, you'll have to take some of your farming population and split them off to become loggers. Once you've collected that timber, it can be used to increase the output of the farmers and the loggers. In fact, all units are immediately upgraded by holding wood, copper, or bronze. Let's say you have a unit of 10 people, and they're given 2 bronze, 1 copper, and 20 wood. They will utilize those materials in the order of strongest effect, so 2 will be upgraded by using bronze tools, 1 will be using copper, and the remaining 7 will have to use the wood. Adding more resources than the population does not increase the effect. And as they use these materials, they'll slowly get damaged and wear out and need to be replaced over time. For mining units, wood is a consumable, and if they aren't provided wood to burn, they don't produce any metals. The more you mine from a land, the less you'll be able to mine in the future. Each land will have different amounts of metals in the ground. Once you have tin and copper, a unit can be created to smelt bronze, and they'll need wood, tin, and copper all at the same time to create bronze. In fact, tin is useful for nothing aside from being an ingredient to make bronze. Gold does nothing within the game, but it does put your name on the leaderboard. Those with the most gold will rank the highest, but you can ignore that part completely if you like. The strength of military units is upgraded by exactly the same system of wood, copper, and bronze. Other effects are calculated in the background which affect the outcome of battles, so you won't be able to do just simple maths and calculate the outcome of anything really with high confidence. You have to make judgments based on a little intuition, which allows for a good margin of error. Envoys allow communication through the messaging system. You can even bring multiple envoys together in the same place for a conference if you like. The messaging system might be the clunkiest part of a clunky game here, so I'm sorry if it's frustrating to use at the moment. As mentioned before, other lands can be conquered and incorporated into your kingdom by destroying all their military units and making a decision to conquer them. It then gets marked on the map as part of your kingdom. All players within a kingdom can send messages to each other without an envoy, so that's one benefit to even voluntarily joining a kingdom, which you can also do. After you are conquered, you can still manage your own units and resources, and you can try to take your sovereignty back. To help signify your kingdom on the map, you can upload a standard, which will be an SVG vector image, and there are instructions on the upload page if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can just use the colour of your land. You select a colour that represents you. Walls can be built to defend your units, and the larger the walls, the more they protect you in battles. However, any resource units such as farmers or miners do not produce any resources when they're within the walls. Siege units will start tearing down the walls, which would help if you're sieging someone else. That should cover the basics, and remember, if you're playing this by yourself, there probably won't be much to do. And it's in a very rough state. But I think I'm at a point where I can at least get some feedback and decide if I want to continue working on this thing or if I need to move on to something else. So I'd appreciate any help in making that decision.